Gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Ivey, is recognized for an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk, and I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with. The gentleman's recognized for remarks on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was a prosecutor for 12 years, 4 federal and 8 elected in the state. So it might be a little ironic that I'm offering this amendment to increase salaries and funding that goes to pay federal public defenders and CJA panel attorneys. But I think it's critical to do that because of the right to counsel issue and because of the critical role that public defenders play in the criminal justice system at the federal level. I think it's pretty clear right now that the funding is run short. I think there's a $77 million shortfall, if I understand correctly. And what that's meant is that some of these lawyers who have worked and done the representation and submitted their vouchers to the court have not been paid. And so the amendment would address that and put in enough money so that those payments could be made to cover those attorneys who've done that work. The concern that if we don't do this, and this is raised by several federal judges, I picked Republican appointees to make sure that it's clear this is a bipartisan point. These are lawyers who are making a sacrifice by doing this work at all, and then they're not getting paid on top of that. It's difficult. That was U.S. District Judge Kathy Seibel. Judges Robert Conrad and Amy St. Eve, who I think were both Trump appointees, said that these are payments for constitutionally required legal work that has already been performed, but that will be left unpaid for months simply because we cannot afford to make the payments. Faced with such a long delay in receiving payment, these attorneys and their experts could decline to accept future CJA appointments by the court, potentially creating unlawful delays in the constitutional right of defendants to speedy and fair trial. So what they're saying there is basically everybody's got a Sixth Amendment right to be represented by counsel in a criminal case, and the case will not go forward in absence of that attorney being assigned. These lawyers aren't getting paid. They weren't getting paid that much to start with. And as they see that they're not going to get paid, fewer and fewer are going to accept the positions either as federal public defenders or the CJA appointment panel. And what that will mean going forward is, one, cases are going to go slower. You know, you can't rush one through. If they don't have an attorney there, you have to wait. That means it takes longer for justice to get done. And in criminal cases, we don't want it to take longer for justice to get done. You want whatever the justice is going to be done quickly. And if they're convicted, it needs to be sufficiently punitive to make sure that the point gets across that this conduct is not going to be tolerated. And some of the cases where you have CJA appointee lawyers are very serious cases because you can get conflicts and you have to go to the CJA panel. So this isn't just, minor cases or the ones that get the federal public defenders or CJA. They get the most serious cases that are in the court system right now, depending on the situation. So it's a very serious thing, and I'm hoping that we can address this to make sure we don't create problems going down the road and slow down the court system, which is already pretty slow. But if we make it even slower, you run into speedy trial issues and other things that could lead to very serious problems. And we can't just, push it through without paying attention to it, because as Justice Scalia really was outstanding at pointing out, there's a Sixth Amendment right to counsel that has to be respected. It's a fundamental cornerstone of the rule of law in our criminal court system. So with that, I ask my colleagues to support this amendment so these people can get paid who've done the work, and we can make sure that the court system runs smoothly. I yield back.